education, crime, poverty. These are all major components working in the favor of the school-to-prison pipeline metaphor. But in Bridgeport, this metaphor is all too real. The school-to-prison pipeline suggests that there is a direct correlation between the education a student receives and whether they graduate to a university or college schoolyard or a barbed-wired prison yard. It represents the flow of students right down the pipe. Bridgeport, Connecticut, home to over 145,000 people, suffers from the realities of this pipeline metaphor. For about 1,600 high school students, this metaphor sits right outside their classroom windows, as their school, Central High School, sits directly across the street from Bridgeport Correctional Center. In May 2021, this jail housed 8,945 inmates, some of which were their classmates. While filming this documentary, I was confronted by the realities of this pipeline. I remember being a student at Central High School and having a civics course. A boy that sat a few seats away from me would hardly ever show up, and then one day, he never showed up again. As I walked by Bridgeport Correctional Center to get this footage, I saw him, in his inmate uniform, trimming back the bushes. That is when the reality of it really sank in. The crime rate in Bridgeport per 1,000 residents is at 22.91. Increases in crime are seen in areas with typically higher levels of poverty. Considering Bridgeport's child poverty rate of 28.3%, which is higher than the United States rate of 18.4%, the crime rate is no surprise. Ranking in the bottom 15% for all crimes committed, Bridgeport is one of the least safe cities in America. For many residents of Bridgeport, this rate may even feel higher just because of the severity of the gun violence issues we see. I know many lives that have been taken due to gun violence, and many friends that have lost their closest friends and loved ones to bullets, some stray and some intended. I sat down with David Daniels III, former police officer for the city of Bridgeport. When I asked his perspective on crime in Bridgeport, here are a few things he had to say.
Actually, crime in Bridgeport is on the decline for a lot of reasons. When I first became a cop, Bridgeport led the nation in murders for a city this size, and we were kind of worse than the whole Northeast for stolen cars. Back when I came on the job in '88, we had gangs and there was a lot of drugs being sold, so Bridgeport was kind of like pretty wild. But over the years, through programs, through intervention, federal intervention with dollars, we were able to get the crime level down. Now, police are more technically savvy than they have been in the past. So all of that kind of works towards the good. Plus, with the last year that we've had in COVID, most people have been in the house. So even though domestic violence calls have gone up, robberies, burglaries, and all of that other general crime has kind of gone down.
I also sat down with Bridgeport native Bobby Brown and asked her about her thoughts surrounding the crime and education issues that Bridgeport faces. This is what she had to say.
I think the school-to-prison pipeline doesn't really just say that it's the school-to-prison pipeline. It's saying that these are these small income things that lead our students the opposite direction and not finding safety, and also to supplies that they need to be able to be great individuals once they graduate. So the funneling system is very interesting, because if you can't provide a school with the resources that it needs, there are students that will check out before graduation, and then that leads them to the streets or either to prison.
Education in Bridgeport is not the finest. Crime in Bridgeport is no joke. However, aside from all the ugliness that goes on in the city of Bridgeport, also known as the Park City, we are home to some of the most beautiful parks, including Seaside Park and Beardsley Park, places necessary for its residents to escape the realities of their city. No matter how stagnant and no matter how behind, the city of Bridgeport will make a comeback, and we will rise to the occasion. After asking our interviewees to describe Bridgeport in a few words, this is what they had to say.
Potential. When I look around the city, I see some assets that other cities don't have. We have parks, we have beaches. The people here have a really good resolve, and the potential is there.
one word that I think I would describe Bridgeport is progress. I think for me, I look at, the years that I spent in elementary school to high school, and then I look at now. A lot of things that we're seeing happen in our city, like programs like 100 Girls Leading, or programs being birthed and created for our students.
The school to prison pipeline exists in Bridgeport. However, we will not allow it to take over. We are now breaking the pipeline.